Hi and welcome to the next episode in my Citroen Relay van build series. Well, in this episode I'm going to continue with my Solway panel installation, but I've come across a few things that I'm a bit grumpy about. Let me explain. So I asked the guys from Solway, do your panels fit an L4H3? The H3 being the all-important bit there because I got the super tall van. And they say, yeah, no problem. Everything fits fine apart from the rear door panels and the side panels, the pillars at the back, and you'll have a gap at the top you have to fill in because they're designed for H2. And the wall panels won't go all the way to the top because they're designed for H2. But if you're putting wall covers in at the top, hey, no dramas because the gap will be covered anyway. So I think, oh great, that's all right, no problem. But it seems as though the ribs on a H3 are slightly different to a H2, unless I'm doing it wrong and I'm just being a complete cock, which is possible, of course. But let me show you. So I'm just going to offer this this panel here up into place, and as you can see, it's shaped here for that bit, and it's shaped at the bottom for the bottom rib. So if I just offer that up into place, now I thought the whole idea of these was you can screw this straight to the side of the van, insulation in behind in this gap here, and it keeps everything nice and tight and flush to the side of the van. And that, after all, is the reason I got it. Now if I just bring you in closer, you can see here that if I hold this up like this, this is kind of following the shape there, and that looks right, doesn't it? That's no problem. There's a bit of a gap in there, but this is nice and flush here, and you can definitely get some screw fixings there to hold it. Happy days. But let's have a look down below. If I hold that in position where that is, if I just angle this camera down, the bottom, well, the bottom ain't anywhere near. It's about an inch too short. So in order to get that to fit, if I pull that down like so, and I'm just going to hold my knee against it so it doesn't move. So now I think we can agree that that's kind of in place. Now if I come back to the top, well, now my nice bit here is now underneath, and I've got a dirty great big hole in here. So if I go back up like that, the only way I can do that really is by trying to force this in like that, and it sort of sits in, and you can't then get any insulation in there. Anyway, not to worry, I've come up with a solution and a plan. It's not the best plan in the world, and it's not really what I wanted and why I bought them for in the first place. But let's go over the other side where I've prepped up, and I'll show you what I've done. So here we are on the other side of the van, and with a bit of experimenting, what I've done is I've got a 25mm batten screwed onto here, and a 27 by 34, I think it was, just a cheap rubbish from B&Q. Screwed underneath, and that's screwed here into the verticals and up from underneath into there as well, just to keep that nice and secure and strong. And I've also battened out the ribs here to stop the Solway panel from flapping about, so I can get some fixings in, and then I've got a decent depth here to get my insulation inside. And how this looks now is like this. So let me offer this one up. It's a bit awkward because they're actually surprisingly heavy for plastic. Anyway, right, so now this is following the contours of this wood. So this piece of wood is running through this this piece here, and this piece of wood is sitting underneath where that can screw through in there. And then if we go down, the bottom now is pretty well kind of in the right place, and and this piece is running fairly straight down the side of the van. So that is definitely, and let me bring you in a bit closer again. Right, so that is definitely a better fit. So that's my solution. I'm still going to go with it because I hate the idea of wood cladding and all that crap on the side of the van. That's, you know, it's a personal preference and a lot of people like it, and that's absolutely fine, but that's not me. So I'm going to go with this, and then up above what I'm going to have to do is just angle you up. So the top here is just flapping in the wind now, so I'm going to have to put a batten across here, screwed into the ribs, to fix that too, and then that's where my wall cupboards will come through up above. So all in all, I think I've kind of made that work, albeit losing 25mm on both sides, which I'm not very happy about because I was short on width anyway. But anyway, we've made it work and we've made it fit, and it's going to do the job. And I'm quite pleased actually with how that's looking now. It's on there and it's fixed, and I think it's going to do the job perfectly for what I want. However, I have to say I do stand by my original statement that for £1,200 for the sort of complete kit, that should fit a lot better. But hey, never mind. You know, these things are sent to try us, and we've overcome it with a bit of timber.
1 week later.
Just really an update on where I've got so far, and show you what we've done. So let me spin this camera around and let's have a look. So on this side here, I've got both pieces now in. This is going to be, well, I mean, it's effectively behind the shower in actual fact, but I didn't really need to fit that one, I guess, but it came in the pack, so I thought, well, there's no harm in doing that anyway. So that's fitted, and then further back here we've got the panel, which is where the beds are going to be. I've already fitted one of the electric points, which is a 13 amp socket and a USB. And then these wires sticking through here are going to be for some bed reading lights that are going to go on there in due course. And let's spin round the other way. The panel further forward has now been fitted. That actually went together a lot better. I only needed one screw in the middle there just to hold those two pieces together. Again, this is going to be behind actually where the fridge is going to go, so that's not going to be visible, so I wasn't worried about that. So these two cables poking out there are for the fridge, and these two big old Arctic yellow ones are going to be for some power sockets in the kitchen. So again, they come out from behind where the fridge is going to be, and then I can move those around to wherever I want them. And at the front here, it kind of follows the contour and shape of the van, and it tucks in behind the door trim here. This top corner didn't fit terribly well and was a bit crap. Because of my Dometic fly screen, I've had to chop the corner off it out the way here and manipulate this a little bit. But because there's going to be a big wall cupboard going right the way across here, again, this is all going to be well and truly buried in the back, so I'm not too worried about that. I've got the bottom panel on the sliding door fitted, and so there's just two main panels left to do, which is what I'm going to do today, which is the top of the sliding door and the one that goes in around the window on the other side. That's the one for the window over there, and the sliding door one is out ready to cut outside, so let's go and have a look at that. Okay, here she is ready to go. So I've marked round my window, which is this inner line here, and then just like I did on the rear doors, give myself an extra centimetre, so I'm going to cut to this outside line, and then hopefully that will fit a-okay. I've got a little hole there for the jigsaw to go through, ready. And following on again from my previous video, I've got Mr. Severity in the jigsaw. So let's see how that goes. Right, let's do it. Well, that was a much better cut than the rear windows, although it's still grabbed in a couple of places, so it's still not perfect, but I think that must be just where the jigsaw was getting hot as I was going around. Perhaps I should have stopped and let it cool down in between. But anyway, all in all, quite a nice cut all the way around, so that's much better. Right, now comes the moment of truth. Does it fit, or have I just very quickly spent £100? Right, okay, let's have a look. Oh, by the way, if you're copying or following what I'm doing in any way, top tip for you. The Dometic fly screen is fantastic, but when it comes to fitting the panels on the sliding door, that is a massive pain in the neck. So Solway panels first, fly screen second would be the way to do it second time round. But hey ho, never mind. You live and learn, don't you? Right, let's see if this fits or not. Right, this is where you have to fess up to your cock-ups, isn't it? I've done it again. Just like I did on the back doors, I've allowed an extra centimetre, but actually it's too tight still and I need to take a bit more off. I did that on the back doors and I'm damned annoyed I've done it again. The trouble is you're always scared to take too much off, aren't you, in case you end up with a big gaping hole that you can't do anything with. Yeah, it's too tight and I'm not going to get the window surrounding through there, so I need to take a smidge off. Right, another 2 or 3 mil taken off. Now let's see what we've got. Okay, right, that's fitting okay now. So need to fill in with insulation and screw it on. Okay, so there we go, that one's now on and fitted. So got the panel in, insulation up in there, a little bit around the door. Couldn't get a lot in there though because it recesses into the door, but anyway, it's okay. One thing I was quite pleased with though is I managed to get plenty of fixings underneath where this window frame is to hold it in place. So visibly at the front here we've just got 2 there and a couple down the side there, and everything else is all hidden. So that's gone quite well, and I put the window blind on the inside and that fit nicely first time, so that was good. And just to recap, although I did this on the back doors, once you've got the window blind in, it fits nice and flush on this side. I'll put the corner caps on right at the end, and on the inside the 2 pieces are sort of joined together, and you can't see the rough edge of the Solway panel, so that's perfect. Right, one more to go over the other side, and I'm going to do that now. But that's pretty much more of the same of this one really.
1 week later.
So this is the final part in my Solway panels installation videos, and I think I've just about done. So let me show you what we've done and what it looks like. So the final panel to fit was this one here, where the rear passenger seat is, and the pillars and the piece across the top. I'll come back to those in a second, but let's work our way back and show you where we were. So we saw this in the last video. We've got the 2 rear panels in there. Had to be a little bit creative with some screws there to hold the 2 pieces together, but seeing this is going to be behind the shower cubicle just about, which is going to come through about there, none of that's going to be seen, so not a problem. In fact, I didn't really need to put this panel on because that's going to be behind the shower, but didn't see any point not to, seeing it came in the pack anyway. Moving around, seen the rear doors lots of times already, and over this side we've got our panels in, and I've started paneling out underneath as well with some 9mm ply, so that's just been applied there with the insulation in behind. and cables in the corner there coming through, so that's where all my cable stuff and electrics is going to be, in that back corner. I'm in two minds actually whether to reuse this was the original wheel arch cover when I got the van, and it was just panelled out as a work van, but actually it's quite clean and tidy, as you can see. And underneath, yes, I went to an awful lot of effort of putting these wheel arch covers in, which is going to help with the sound deadening and the road noise and stuff. But of course it's difficult to actually put anything on the top of there, so in actual fact I think that fixed in is going to give me quite a handy little shelf there to put some of my electrical bits and bobs on, so may well do that. Over this side I haven't finished the panelling and the insulation in there yet. That's the insulation I'm using, the old recycled plastic bottle insulation in there. I am going to do a dedicated video on the insulation very soon to explain what I've done and why I've done it, and more importantly why I'm not using a vapor barrier, as controversial as that is. Right, let's have a look further forward. So it's further forward here that my enthusiasm for these Solway panels wanes just a little bit, and the old grumps are coming back in again, I'm afraid. Let me show you why. So first of all, behind me here we have the sliding door, which I've already covered in a previous video, but let's just have another quick look at something there to make my point. So on the sliding door, the recess on the Solway panel is quite deep. Okay, so it goes in really tight inside the sliding door, and that allows my inside blind to marry up with the window frame nicely, and there's no gap. And that is also exactly the same on the rear doors. And oh look, you can see through the window my Moorland panels have arrived. That's very exciting. I'm also feeling very broke suddenly as well, but that's another matter. And over this side, this front panel, which and I think in fairness one has to bear in mind, this panel is the one that's going to be seen the most, because this is where the passengers in the back are sat. This is where the table is going to be, so this is the main living space, and this is the one that's going to be looked at and noticed most of all over all of them. Okay, and the recess on this is absolutely tiddly. So what we end up with is this horrible bloody gap in here, look. So I've had to pack that out with loads of timber in there, and all around the sides here, and I've had to get a little bit creative, because the side of the van comes in this way and the Solway panel comes in this way, so we end up with quite a big gap at the bottom but a much smaller gap at the top. So I'm going to have to find something to fill in this with, you know, a strip of plastic or something to go on the inside there and glue it in and run that all the way around. I've also taken the liberty here of putting in some wooden framing in behind here to get a socket and USB mounted there. I've gone for the 3 amp USB socket there, the sort of high power one, because this after all on the table here, which will be in here, this is where your most of your devices are probably going to end up, so of course that's going to provide for a fast charging facility, so that's why I've gone for that one there. And then the final bit of the Solway panels is this pillar cover, and that's actually gone quite well. One thing to note is, because I've put that in after I did the floor, it actually was too long, so I've actually chopped about 3 or 4 centimeters off the bottom of that in order to get it to fit nicely. There was already some marks of where to put the screws, so we've got 1, 2, 3. That comes up, and it's the same on the other side, and then my top panel goes across there like so. This top panel isn't actually fully fixed in yet, so that will go in tighter when it's actually all sort of screwed together like that. I've had to be a little bit creative there and cut it around the Dometic fly screen, but that's all gonna fit fine. And again, I was aware, because I've got a H3 van rather than a H2, that this wasn't going to be tall enough here. So what I'm going to do, I think, is just chop off this lip here, because this lip on a H2 is actually going to sit up in there quite nicely. So chop this lip off, and then put a piece of furniture board right the way across, and then I'll probably fit a tambour door in behind there to access that space. So that should look absolutely fine. So there we go, that's the Solway panel installation. So let's just have one last final quick scan around, and then you can tell me whether you think that looks good, bad, indifferent, and indeed I suppose the $1,000,000 question is, do you think that's worth 1,200 odd pounds? That's the big question. So starting from the front here, in the kit you get that piece, the pillars, the panel there where the front passenger seat is. We get the panels down the side. We got the door pillars, the piece across the top, the other pillar, and the back doors. The panels coming down this side, and the top and bottom of the sliding door. And the only things I added extra to that kit was the bottom parts for the rear door, the door cards at the bottom. That wasn't part of the kit, so I had those added on as an extra. So I've had a bit of a moan and groan about several parts of this Solway panel installation, and it's not been easy, I have to say. And you know, trying to make it fit a H3 when I know, in all due respect to Solway, they clearly say it's for H2, but I did speak to them and they said, oh, it's absolutely fine, no problem at all. Well, it's proved a pain in the ass, to be honest, but anyway, it's on. And for me personally, I think it looks alright. I'm quite happy with the finish. The bits that are going to be seen, which is the bits by the beds and by the front, and the pillars to cover the gaps around the driver's cab and things like that, that's all good, and I'm happy with that. So I suppose the $1,000,000 question here is, now with the experience of fitting them once, would I do it again? You know, even with all the hassle that I've had and things not fitting and having to modify and chop things about, and that super pain in the ass front window there, having to put a piece of trim in there, which I'm not happy about. But would I do it again? And the answer to that is, actually I probably would, because I do like the finish. I hate cladding on walls, like I've said in a previous video. That's just not me. So this is a nice wipe clean, nice easy solution to a decent finish on the side of the van. So in that respect, I am quite happy. There's been, you know, as I've mentioned along the way, a few things that have made me have a good old grump and a groan about these panels, and I still stand by my point that they're just ridiculously expensive for what is essentially a load of plastic. But you know, it is what it is. If you want them, that's the price you have to pay. Would I do it again? Yes, probably. Now with the hindsight of having done it once, I would make a few changes to how I did it. Yeah, there we are. So it's time to move on with more videos now. So let's put to bed the Solway panels. Thanks for watching this one. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time round. Bye for now.